Good evening and welcome to your City Commission meeting. If you would please silence or turn off your cell phones during the meeting, that would be greatly appreciated. Meetings are televised every day on Channel 2 at 6 p.m. and at midnight and available for your viewing pleasure on YouTube. At this time, I'll call the meeting to order. If we could please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance and silent meditation.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right, we got some proclamations tonight. Not a record, but 4, right? Yes. All right, are you accepting for the... Rick Jackson's here. Oh, hi, everybody. Come on up it is Leavenworth Historic Preservation Month. Hi, good to see you. Hello, good to see you. Hello, sir. How are you? Welcome. All right. Whereas historic preservation is an effective tool for managing growth and sustainable development, revitalizing neighborhoods, fostering local pride, and maintaining community character while enhancing livability. And whereas historic preservation is relevant for communities across the nation, both urban and rural, and Americans of all ages, all walks of life, and all ethnic backgrounds. And whereas it is important to celebrate the role of history in our lives and the contributions made by dedicated individuals in helping to preserve the tangible aspects of the heritage that has shaped us as people. And whereas Preserve the Past, Shape the Future, Inspiring the Next Generation is a national campaign co-sponsored by the Leavenworth Preservation Commission, Preservation Alliance of Leavenworth, Leavenworth Main Street, and the National Trust for Historical Preservation. Now, therefore, I, Holly Pittman, Mayor of the City of Leavenworth, Kansas, hereby proclaim May 25th to be Leavenworth Historic Preservation Month. Yay! I love that all of you are partnering together. That's great. Would you like to say something?
Well, we have 3 of the 5 commissioners from the Preservation Commission. I would like to say that, yes, we are the first city in Kansas, and therefore we have a charge to preserve and protect as well our historical monuments, buildings, homes, etc. And so we accept that challenge, and we will continue to do that in concert with the State Historical Preservation Commission as well. And we met with them last week for all day at the Capitol. And so we're at work, and we're doing our job to help preserve our historical monuments and buildings.
Thank you, sir. I appreciate it.
Thank you.
Thank you guys for serving.
Thank you. Get up here, both of you. Come on up. It's Economic Development Week. All right. Whereas communities rely on economic development professionals to promote economic well-being and quality of life for communities like the city of Leavenworth, that means coordinating activities that create, retain, and expand jobs in order to facilitate growth, enhance wealth, and provide a stable tax base. And whereas economic developers stimulate and incubate entrepreneurism in order to help establish the next generation of new businesses, which is the hallmark of the American economy. And whereas economic developers are engaged in a wide variety of settings, including rural and urban, local, state, provincial, and federal governments, public-private partnerships, Chamber of Commerce, universities, and a variety of other institutions. And whereas economic developers attract and retain high-quality jobs, develop vibrant communities, and improve the quality of life of their regions. And whereas economic developers work with the City of Leavenworth in the Leavenworth County, Kansas. Now, therefore, I, Holly Pittman, Mayor of the City of Leavenworth, Kansas, hereby proclaim May 11th through the 17th, 2025 to be Economic Development Week.
Thank you, Mayor Pittman and members of the City Commission. We greatly appreciate this honor. On behalf of Leavenworth County Development Corporation, we gladly accept this proclamation and recognition of Economic Development Week. Together, we will continue to work on making Leavenworth a thriving place to work, to live, and to do business. Thank you.
Plan that week?
No, not on which
Do we
one?
have anything planned that week?
No, just continue to do economic development.
Keep going at it, keep working at it.
Thank you.
Thank you. Brian, there it is. Come on up, Brian, you're next. Oh, come on up, yeah. Public Works Week. You're like, I'll take it. I'll do it. All right. Whereas public works professionals focus on infrastructure, facilities, and services that are of vital importance to sustainable and resilient communities and to the public health, high quality, and life and well-being of the people of Leavenworth. And whereas these infrastructures, facilities, and services could not be provided without our dedicated efforts of public work professionals who are engineers, managers, and employees at all levels of government and the private sector, who are responsible for rebuilding, improving, and protecting our nation's transportation, water supply, water treatment, and solid waste systems, public buildings, and other structures and facilities essential for our citizens. And whereas it is in the public interest for the citizens, civic leaders, and children in Leavenworth to gain knowledge of and maintain an ongoing interest and understanding of the importance of public works and public works programs in their respective communities. And whereas in the year of 2025 marks the 65th annual National Public Works Week sponsored by the American Public Works Association. Now, therefore, I, Holly Pittman, Mayor of the City of Leavenworth, hereby proclaim May 18th through 24 to be Leavenworth Public Works Week. Yay! You have anything planned for Public Works Week?
Our luncheon is Friday.
You gonna do extra potholes?
Pretty hot.
It is hot. I'm just kidding. Here, I'll let you.
Okay, thank you. Thank you, Mayor Pittman and Commissioners. On behalf of the Public Works Department, I am honored to accept this proclamation recognizing the essential work we do. Our team often works behind the scenes, but their impact is everywhere. This proclamation not only honors their hard work, it also reminds us how vital teamwork and public service are to the community. We look forward to continuing our mission, and we thank you again for this meaningful recognition.
Thank you.
Thank
because
you.
without you guys, we would not, I don't know if we'd be a city. Thank you so much. All right, Chief. Save the best for last, right? All right. Whereas there are approximately 800,000 law enforcement officers serving the communities across the United States, including 57 sworn members of the City of Leavenworth Police Department. And whereas the Congress of the United States of America has designated the calendar week each year, which May 15th occurs as National Police Week, and May 15th of each year to be Peace Officers Memorial Day. And in the names of those dedicated public servants are engraved in the walls of the National Law Enforcement Officers Memorial in Washington, D.C. There are now more than 24,000 names of fallen heroes engraved in the National Memorial, of which 147 officers were killed in 2024. And whereas the members of the City of Leavenworth Police Department play an essential role in safeguarding the rights and freedoms of the City of Leavenworth, Kansas. And whereas the citizens of Leavenworth and our leaders pledge to stand with the families of the fallen officers, the officers protecting our community, and the officers throughout the United States, and to honor their loss as they protect their communities. And whereas all officers of the Leavenworth Police Department are encouraged to turn on their red and blue lights for 1 minute every day at 11 a.m. from May 12th through May 18th, 2025. Now, therefore, I, Holly Pittman, Mayor of the City of Leavenworth, Kansas, hereby proclaim May 12th through 18th to be National Police Week.
Madam Mayor, Commission, on behalf of myself and our Deputy Chief Major Nicodemus in the back, I'd like to express our appreciation for pausing for a few minutes this week to honor the work of the police officers who work very hard to keep everybody safe, and specifically express my appreciation to the Commission for your continued support as we meet our challenges. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Chief. All right, old business. Consideration of the previous minutes from April 22nd, 2025. I just need a motion to approve.
Madam Mayor, I move to approve the minutes from April 22nd, 2025 regular meeting.
Second.
All right, motion's been Made and seconded. If you'll start voting with Commissioner Ingela.
Aye.
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 All right, motion passes. New business. Before we start new business, we'll have public comment. Public comment is limited to 3 minutes per speaker. In the interest of time, we ask that groups wishing to speak limit their public comment to one presenter. This is an opportunity for the City Commission to hear the thoughts of the public prior to conducting official city business. The mayor, city commissioners, or city staff have been asked not to respond to those giving public comment, and action may not be taken to the commission on public comment items. The mayor may direct staff to follow up with specific individuals after the meeting. When speaking, please state your name and your address. A sign-up sheet will be provided to the commission chambers for anyone wishing to speak. Sarah, has anyone signed up to speak?
We have 2 speakers. First up is John Wayman.
John, hello. Welcome.
Thank you. Hey, good evening, Commissioners, Mayor Pittman. I'm John Wyman, 801 Osage. I also pastor First City Fellowship, and I wanted to come up. We did a job fair about a week and a half ago on May 1st, and first I wanted to say thank you, Mayor Pittman, for coming out, and Commissioners Hengula and Wilson coming out. You guys were really encouraging to our job seekers, to our volunteers, and to our employers. I just wanted to kind of talk about it real quick and give you a summary. What we had that day. We were open for about 3 hours down at the Heritage Center. Great venue, super day. Had about we had 10 employers, 7 community resource partners. Actually, 2 of our community resource partners were also hiring, so that was a double win. Just a great day. 56 job seekers came through, which was great. What was really helpful about that, one of the things we focus on, we partner with a nonprofit out of Florida called Better Together. And they have several arms. They started about 10 years ago as a Christian alternative to foster care. And what they realized very quickly was about 70% of families that were vulnerable to children having to enter the foster system was based on economic instability, low income instability. So they started a job fair program that focuses on second chance friendly opportunities. Of our 10 employers this time, only 1 could not be second chance friendly. That was just based on the nature of the work that they do. The other 9 either were fully second chance friendly or second chance friendly case by case, which was great for us. Of the 56 job seekers who came through last week, or 2 weeks ago, excuse me, 1 was not only hired on the spot, he actually onboarded at the job fair, which is beautiful. Yeah.
Great.
We also had 4 other job seekers who received conditional job offers. So about 8% of our job seekers actually walked out with a job offer in hand. We had an additional 12 job seekers who walked out with second interviews scheduled. Additionally, with our with our resource partners, the numbers are a little murky, but anywhere between 30 to 45 of our job seekers actually received resources and resource information from our partners, which was a real win for us. And not only the job seekers, we were kind of excited. We had a friend came over, volunteered with us from a church over in Missouri. They've been trying to start a Celebrate Recovery program. We actually had Celebrate Recovery as one of our resource partners. They're now talking together to provide some resources and help to get that Celebrate Recovery going over in Missouri. Following up on that, we've offered personal financial counseling, Financial Peace University. We've also had 7 of our job seekers on their exit interview said that they were interested in one-on-one job coaching moving forward. So we're setting that up. And what was really encouraging to us was of the job seekers who did an exit interview, which is about 45, every single one of them said, I feel more confident today in getting a job than before I walked in. So really appreciate your support. We're looking forward to the next one. Working on the dates, but probably late February, early March next year, and my time is done. Thank you.
Awesome. Thank you.
Pastor John.
Thank you.
Thank you. And I love the bell. The bell was awesome. And I got to ring the bell.
Thank you. Yeah, you took part in it.
Yes.
That's good.
Next up, we have William Rogers.
Hello. Welcome.
William Rogers, 73rd Yecker, KCK. First off, I want to thank the city of Leavenworth, the county. I'm not sure how that worked, but with your public safety, but you guys sent a unit over to Missouri to cover for the fire department so that they could attend that funeral for that fallen young man over there. So I want to thank you guys for that, ever how that works. So thank your public safety. That's a huge deal for those guys. Tonight I'm going to try to choose my words very carefully. I can tell you that Core Civic watches this, so you got at least one viewer a week, and it's probably because I'm here. Within 24 hours of the last time I spoke, I received a a letter from them or an email, and the letter followed FedEx. In my opinion, and I get that, an opinion, it was nothing more than a tactic to silence me. I don't think they want the truth out, and that's, again, it's my opinion. So I don't think from the letter, and I'll share the letter with any of you in private if you'd like to read it. I also don't think Core Civic quite understands why I do this. I'm a 60-year-old grandfather, been married for 40 years. I've got plenty of other things to occupy my time. I do this for Dylan Reed. I say that again because, again, I don't think they understand why I do this. They have a mission statement that says we operate safe, secure facilities that provide high-quality services and effective reentry programs that enhance public safety. So this is what I want to ask Core Civic. When Dylan Reed died, was there drugs in his system? I don't know that, but if there was, then they didn't offer a safe, secure environment. Did the officer working that pod, did he do the right amount or even close to the number of wash tours that he was supposed to do? Basically checking on him. If not, they didn't provide a secure facility that day. What was the staffing issues that day? Can they provide them to us? They want to be transparent. Let's be transparent. I was on a radio show last week, and the host has offered for Misty Mackey, the warden, to come on with me, and we can have candid conversations. So I look forward to that. I doubt it'll happen. But I also want to ask Core Civic if they got any information on the following, and this is just a handful. They may or may not. Terry Childress, Joshua Mintz, Danny Lawrence, Joshua Williams, Antoine Robinson, Matthew Woodard, Benton Tyler Martin, Ricardo Mace, Jesse Bernard Tucker, Ricky Manil. That's just a few. Maybe they'll open up the records to that. I'd also like them to provide, as a lot of your officers have body cams, I'd like Core Civic to provide the footage from May 23rd, 2021, from the RHU unit from midnight to 2:30 a.m. Make that public. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Okay. All right, well, let's move on to general items. First one is mayor's appointment. Second, let me get my right wording. Sorry, I don't want to, here we go. So I move to reappoint to the Board of Zoning Appeals David Ramirez to the terms ending May 1st, 2028, and reappoint to the Leavenworth Planning Commission Brian Stevens to a term ending May 1st, 2028. It requires a second and then a vote.
Second.
Second. All right. All right, we'll begin voting with Commissioner Martin.
No.
Aye.
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 All right. Motion passes 4-0. All right, next up, consider transit merchant permit waiver for the art show at Hawthorne Park.
Madam Mayor and Commissioners, before you this evening for consideration is a request for a transient merchant permit waiver to use Hawthorne Park on June 22nd for an art show as part of the Leavenworth Family Pride picnic event. As part of their annual event, Leavenworth Family Pride intends to invite 5 to 10 local artists to share their work and also sell it as part of the event. City code does prohibit transient merchant permits on city property to include city parks. However, the city commission can waive that prohibition. So all fees and use of the facility and permits would still apply. This simply would allow them to have the art show and have the sale of those pieces of art on the park property. So tonight, this is the request before you. Ms. Barbara Williams, representing the group, is here if you have any questions for her about the event, or I can answer any questions for you.
Thank you.
Does the commission have any questions?
No.
No.
No?
No question?
No questions?
Nope.
You want to advertise?
Pardon?
You want to advertise?
Well, sure. I'm with, of course, Leavenworth Family Pride, and this year is our third Leavenworth Family Pride picnic over at Hawthorne Park on the 22nd of June. You're all welcome to stop by. We provide a family picnic event where everyone's family that day. We're going to have barbecue for the second time in a row, and it's free. Everything's free. It's a picnic, and we have things for adults to do, for teens to do, for kids to do. And we have a few local nonprofits that want to come and table and talk to people, maybe recruit for volunteers, or say, hey, these are the services we provide for people. And this year, we would just like to add a teeny tiny art show to support our community. No more than 10 vendors, because, you know, it's not like there are a million people coming to the picnic. So they're not going to get rich. And we are not making any money. We're going to charge each artist $5 at the most to table, because, like I said, we're not in the business to make money, number one, and we are just wanting to promote the artists of our area. So does that generate any questions?
All
No.
right. Then I'll take a motion.
I move approval of the waiver for transient merchants permit for the use of Hawthorne Park for the Leavenworth Family Pride Picnic Event Art Show on June 22, 2025.
Second.
All right. We'll begin voting with Commissioner Hengler.
Abstain.
Oh, aye.
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 No.
Okay. Motion passes 3
All right, well, thank you.
3 to
Thank you.
3 to 2. All right, thank you. All right. Next up is resolution. First up is resolution B 2398, Leavenworth Main Street Special Events for Possession of Consumption of Alcohol. Back to you, Sarah.
Yep. Madam Mayor and Commissioners, before you this evening for consideration is a resolution approving the Leavenworth Main Street special events being held on Saturday, June 7th and Saturday, July 12th, which would close motor vehicle traffic to a portion of Cherokee Street and allow for the possession and consumption of alcohol. The street closure requests were approved by the Chief of Police, as Main Street has utilized the specific closure previously as early as last year. The street that will be closed is a portion of Cherokee Street from 7th Street to the entrance of the Water Department. We've done that several times. We want to make sure the Water Department people can get in and out if anything happens. By approving this resolution, this allows both events to have alcohol within the confines of the street closure, and the alcohol-friendly area will be clearly marked off and roped off within the footprint per state regulations. And with that, if you have any questions for me, and Ms. Haley Shaw from Leavenworth Main Street is here.
Any questions for the commission?
Sounds like fun to me.
Yep, sounds like a good time. All right, I'll entertain a motion. Just needed to adopt and approve the resolution.
Yep, Madam Mayor, I move to approve the adoption of Resolution B 2398 as presented.
Second.
All right, motion's been made and second. We'll start voting with Commissioner Martin.
Aye.
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 All right, motion passes 5-0. All right, next resolution is B 2399. Resolution for condemnation for 10th and Limit intersection project. Well, hi.
Howdy. Well, thank you, Madam Mayor and Commissioners. The item this evening is to consider a resolution to start the process for acquisition of private property for public purposes on the 10th and Limit Street intersection improvement project. Plans for the intersection improvements identified the need for both temporary and permanent right-of-way. Over the last month, the city, through our consultant, the land company, has been working to obtain the needed easements from the property owners. While several properties have signed the easement documents, there are 3 properties remaining where an agreement has not been reached. To avoid the risk of losing the funding, the city needs a parallel condemnation process to help ensure that the needed properties are obtained. City staff will continue to work with all the property owners through the process to obtain the easements. This project is tentatively scheduled to bid in September. However, KDOT does require easements and right-of-way to be obtained prior to the project being bid. While easements are needed, the protection of private property rights is key to an American principle. The law allows for government to acquire private property for public purposes with just compensation. Kansas statutes define the process to help ensure that the power of the government is not unreasonably applied to citizens during this process. The approval of this resolution is simply the first step of a much larger process. There are costs to the city. The city is responsible for its own attorney fees, filing fees, appraiser fees, and any compensation recommended by the court. The process is somewhat lengthy and usually can be completed within 60 days, but there are times it does take longer. Staff does recommend the City Commission approve Resolution B 2399 regarding the appropriation of private property for public purposes. And I'd be happy to answer any questions you have.
When is this expected to begin?
I'm sorry,
When is this expected to begin?
the project itself? We might bid it in September, it could be pushed to October, but the project would start probably in the spring of
Before.
'26.
Okay, yeah.
We have a little bit of time, I mean, we're bidding that late in the year. It's new traffic signals, it's turn lanes.
Right.
It's a 24-week lead time on signals, and so in all likelihood, it's spring of '26.
Okay, sounds good.
Mr. Faust, can you provide a little bit more information on, you said that an agreement hasn't been reached with the other property owners, but they have been spoken with, is that right?
That is correct. We notified all the property owners ahead of time that the land company would be reaching out to them to talk to them about the project. We've marked the right-of-way and easements that are needed. They've contacted them. I believe we've met with most of them in person. One of the ones in the northwest corner is actually out of Utah. And so there's been a lot of communications back and forth with them. We think we have confidence we'll get at least 2 of the 3. But just in that process, it's taking time, and we want to make sure that we don't delay the project on this funding.
Right.
Good.
All right.
Yeah, just to clarify, this does not, as he mentioned, this does not prohibit us from reaching agreements individually with those property owners anyways. We just want to make sure we keep the clock moving.
But this says if we don't reach an agreement, it doesn't matter, we'll do it anyway.
Essentially, yes, and we would go through the process, but they would, even if we do that, we still have to pay them fair compensation for the property. We can't just take it.
Right.
And there are only 3 property owners that are given the different, not agreeing.
Yeah, I wouldn't say they're being difficult, it's communication back and forth. There were 6 easements needed, or 6 properties we had to get the property from. We've reached agreement with 3 of them, and there's 3 more that we're still working on.
Yeah, this is a tough one for me, I'll tell you, because the law allows a lot, it doesn't make it right. Yeah, that's, I guess, kind of where I stand on that right now.
Well, they're not taking their whole property, they're just taking an edge off to make the street wider.
Is the blue what we're,
The blue in the package, that's just approximate limits of the project. It doesn't define where the easements are.
oh, okay, so we don't know how much.
That doesn't define exactly where the easements are. It's pretty close, I mean,
So there's nothing on this corner.
actually, on the northwest corner, we're adding a turn lane.
Oh, okay.
And so you're going southbound, we're adding a turn lane, so we're widening the road at that point, which means actually the gas company and other utilities actually have to move their utilities further to the west.
Right.
And so we're asking for a temporary construction easement along there.
Do we know why we have maybe a holdout? You said you're confident you get 2 of the 3. What, that last one, can you share any more on that?
It's just negotiation at this point in time of what's appropriate. So,
Thank you, Mr. Faust, appreciate that.
I remember reading in here that some of it's temporary.
correct.
Yeah.
How many of them are temporary versus how many are permanent?
I believe I'd have to go back and check.
Okay.
But there are some of the 3 that are just temporary, some of the others have right-of-way associated. And definitely the southeast corner, you'll see on the drawing, it's not the scale, but the corner there, we'd be needing some right-of-way there. You drive by there now, you see the signal right there on that corner. And
Take off
a
right
lot of the
corner.
improvements, I mean, it's a southbound turn lane, but we're making the intersection ADA compliant when we do this, so we need a little bit for that.
Okay. Well, we just need to,
And last question, what's the main reason that the property owners are refusing to move forward?
Money.
Is it just
Two of them, it's just, where it's, the communication is trying to get the folks in Utah to respond.
okay?
You know, the person that we deal with there was on vacation for like 2 weeks. And since she's come back, she hasn't contacted us back. We've been trying. There's kind of that communication issue, or 2 of the 3 properties. The third property, the gentleman's been out of town.
Okay.
We've talked to them. There's an offer been made. But I don't believe it's been any counter offers at this point in time.
Okay, yeah, and it was just when I was, just relating that to Utah or wherever, it's, for me, it doesn't matter where they live exactly, it's still their property, so.
And from our standpoint, we like to negotiate. I mean, there was that initial offer, but the process of going through condemnation and the fees associated with that, to us, it makes sense if we can negotiate an agreement that it works best for the city. We would definitely continue trying.
Thank you.
Okay, let's just take a motion.
I move approval of Resolution B 2399.
Is there a second?
What? Are you kidding me?
So,
Well, I mean, to clarify, we need these easements and right-of-way to proceed with this project.
I guess cancel the project then, right?
So, we need this space to do the work.
I don't think anybody's saying to cancel the project, we're saying, right now, we need to work with the property owners, I think that's where we.
Well, we are working with the property owners.
okay, so
I would just like to hear feedback, whether, the property owners in support of it or not. If it's just a matter of the communication, I just feel more comfortable with moving forward by just hearing a response.
can we table this until we get confirmation from all of the property owners?
I mean, yes, you can. I mean, so as Brian mentioned, the condemnation process is quite lengthy. And as we also mentioned, starting this process doesn't prohibit us from having those agreements with property owners anyway. So we may start this process and property owners can come, and those property owners can finally reach back out to us and say, yes, that works, or we reach an agreement, and then we stop the condemnation process. I mean, we wouldn't proceed with it after that.
No, I appreciate that. I guess to just be crystal clear from my perspective, and how I feel about it is, unless the property owners agree, I will not agree and be in support of the resolution or anything, just to be clear.
So, I certainly understand that, Commissioner Martin. I will just say, when it comes to public projects like this, in my experience, when you are taking right-of-way or you're taking space or easements, in general, there's usually 1 or 2 property holdouts for the very reason that they don't like the project, they don't want an expansion, whatever. So, we understand that. It's, we don't want to take the space. To be clear, most of the temporary construction easements tend to be larger than the permanent easements because you need access to do the work. And then the easements shrink, the easements shrink back down
It goes back to the owner.
right-of-way. So, a temporary construction easement is wider because your equipment's gonna be on their yard. It basically says, allows us to put our equipment there, to dig there, whatever, and then we replace all of that with grass, the way it looked, whatever doesn't turn into road, we put it back to a yard that looks like it should. And then, unless the road expands, the property owner may not notice much of a difference. Many of these property owners that are impacted is mostly because of the movement of the utilities. Except where those properties are, where the road expands, we turn in the turn lane, they will lose some space. I don't know which of these property owners we're discussing with that have the issue or whatever, but to be clear, that the process is lengthy. So even if we start it now, some of this stuff could all be resolved anyways.
Okay, yeah. All right. I'll second it.
All right, we begin voting with Commissioner Hengler.
Yeah, thanks for the clarification. Yeah.
Commissioner Hengler.
Aye.
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 No.
Okay, motion passes.
I will also we'll be sure to update you all on the process of those
Yeah.
conversations.
Yeah, thanks.
Yeah, and these are happening, things like this are happening all over town with utilities, with the water department. They come in, they get an easement, and they put it back supposedly the way it is. I don't know if you've seen that on your street or not, but I mean.
Oh,
I know a
yeah,
lot of
no,
work you got
but
done on your street.
I knew what I was buying when I bought my property though, that was already there, so.
All right, joint discussion, so we move to the,
Yep. So this time we want to invite the county commissioners up to the table here. We'll circle you all around.
We got chairs.
Yeah. Okay.
Anywhere you want to sit is fine. We don't have to sign a second.
Any help? I think I see some chairs on down the road.
And I can grab you a chair.
Find this one over to make sure the way where the microphone. So I should be good over this way.
Welcome to the city.
All right, well, welcome to the City Commission. How are you? Glad you're here. Thanks for coming to us. We appreciate that. Thanks for coming out at night. I know you guys usually meet during the day, so you guys are a little bit of a night out tonight, so I appreciate that.
Before we get too far, Mayor, I think Commissioner Stephen is going to call in on the
Oh, okay, on the
network
phone.
phone.
Oh, I didn't know.
I just added an hour.
Is he driving at the same time?
Probably.
Can't take your call now.
Oh, really?
You denied us.
Are we really gonna do that? Are we really gonna do that?
I remember one time, I went getting notice. I get on the phone when the meeting was starting. I walked in, you're still on the phone.
Do we need to do introductions or anything? What?
He's not responding to me right now, so.
Okay, should we go ahead and start?
He's on a choo-choo train, let's go ahead.
Okay.
Probably didn't realize we'd get done this quickly.
You thought we were already done.
Oh, we did? Oh.
Oh, okay.
Well, again, welcome. We're so glad you're here. Mayor Pro Tem Bowders asked that we do introductions for the community, if that's okay. I'll go ahead and start. My name's Holly Pittman. I am currently serving as the mayor.
Nancy Bowder, Mayor Pro Tem.
Griff Martin, Commissioner.
Jermaine Wilson, Commissioner.
Ed Hingle, City Commissioner.
Jeff Culbertson, County Commissioner.
Mike Smith, Chairman, Leavenworth County Commission.
Vanessa Reed, Leavenworth County Commission.
Willie Dove, County Commissioner.
All right, welcome. And Mike, I thought we could bounce back and forth.
Sure.
Is that okay with you?
Absolutely.
We've got 4 or 5 discussion items, and I know the first 3 are county brought, so I'm gonna turn the meeting over to you and let you walk through those.
Mark?
Or Mark,
Oh,
Mark, I'll turn
okay,
it over to
well.
Mark. Hi, Mark, welcome.
I did not realize I would be the one speaking about these topics, so, but I'm prepared.
Awesome, well,
We got comments.
The microphones don't amplify, by the way. It's just a pickup or YouTube, so they are working.
okay, so you don't have to talk into him, okay.
I think the first one is the property tax lid constitutional amendment. This is something that the Board of County Commissioners has presented to our representatives for the last 2 years, asking them in Topeka to put forward an initiative that would allow the citizens of the state to vote on a property tax lid. I think actually this is the one that Commissioner Stephen asked to have added. So we've asked a couple of years in a row, and they so far have yet to even, I think, get it out of committee, and they definitely haven't voted out it on the floor. I think he was just going to ask if the city would consider in the next legislative cycle also presenting a letter of support for that.
Is this the one that passed the Senate? Is this the, because I know familiar with this because my husband was the original writer of this. Is this the one that passed the Senate but didn't pass the House, or is this, okay,
I think that's correct.
okay. And the House has their own version, so which one is he? Is he the one in the Senate? Okay.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's the same one.
Okay. I don't know if all the commission's been briefed on it. Is there some points that maybe you want to?
I think for the most part, what it does is it caps the amount of valuation that a home can go up. And I think the two versions that were floating around that we were supporting was either 3 or 4%, so that in any 1 year, your property value could not increase more than that, which requires a constitutional amendment, obviously. And then whenever the house sells on transfer of ownership, it gets reevaluated to the current then market value. So eventually it does get caught up. And that was, I think that was the legislation that we had provided a letter of support for. And obviously, we don't need any kind of a commitment tonight or anything. It's not until next January, but just wanted to let it out there that if you guys would consider a letter of support as well.
What is the reason for it not passing the House?
I don't want to get into the politics of it really, but
There must be opposed
I
to it
think
somehow.
I'm happy to.
well, you're more than welcome to then.
I think that sometimes in the legislature, there's business interests, there's personal interests that conflict with what they're there to do as politicians. And I think that potentially was in the way in the speaker's position on the House side. And, some people, they're on a ladder, and so they have to figure out what they want to do to make their next move, and I think that played into this.
Yeah, it's messed up, is what you're saying.
Yes.
I mean, obviously, I think we're all in agreement that something needs to be done with property taxes. So,
100%.
this might just be one tool in the tool chest, but.
Can I ask one, did any of y'all have the opportunity to testify for any of these? I know we did. Mr. Culberson, that's something that's very important too, when you get the opportunity to speak and tell them how you feel as a group.
Right.
If you feel that way, it makes an impression. They may not vote that way, but at least it makes an impression. And I've noticed too, over the last few years, it's gaining more ground because the people, elected folks and the citizens aren't letting it go away. Because, folks, we're losing population. This has got to be fixed, and we preach it all the time. So any support that y'all can give, if y'all in favor of that, we'd sure like to see next year.
Do you have a reason why, like, I know property tax was a big thing, and it's pretty dominated by one party. What happened? Why didn't property taxes get passed? Do we know what happened? They've just been fighting, or House versus Senate?
Well, I think, and this is just my thing, you get elected to go up there to do the best for the community and the state. You don't get elected to be put on committees. And a lot of times, whoever's in the committee or who appoints the committee folks, they come along and do some things that I don't think they should be doing. They're supposed to represent Leavenworth County or represent Wyandotte or wherever. And I think we've got into that mode that where the party says this, so I've got to vote that way. Folks, that's not the way it's supposed to be. It's supposed to be what's best for everybody. And until we fix that, we're not going to see any help. And I think this is one of the issues right here. Some people don't like the property tax amendment because they have their own version of it. We've had 3 or 4 versions. We just want to get something in front of the people to make a decision on. Okay, I'll stop now.
No, you're right.
No, you're fine. You're
No,
fine.
we want to hear it.
It's a confusing topic to me.
Well, I know we feel strongly about it, both of us do, Nancy, and say,
Well, the Kansas Farm Bureau, I think was a pretty major player from what I understood. So they did not.
Against it?
Yes,
Yeah.
they wanted a different form, which I think is probably what the House put up, but.
And I saw the realtors came out against it as well.
But isn't farm property taxed differently?
Yeah, it is.
I think they didn't feel like it was in their best interest.
Okay,
Yes.
okay.
Perhaps if you guys all were interested in this, we could set it to a study session in the year coming this year to kind of walk you through it and maybe have somebody from the county or somebody who's an expert on the bill to come explain it to all of you.
Make it
Would be
closer
good,
to the
'cause he's-
time we're going to go over there.
Right.
Okay.
Different ideas are really kind of confusing.
Yeah, I had called the League of Municipalities today to see where they stood on the bill, and they are actually neutral, but they sent over some good pros and cons of the bills. And so the 2 different bills, I think the one was the valuation cap, and the other one was in the House was the rolling average amendment. So, just to try to educate, because I know it changes, like,
That's right. And getting the league and getting the Kansas City, the Kansas, I can't say Chiefs, the commissioners to work together, our two groups to work together, because there's lobbyists everywhere. When you get the league municipalities and you get the commissioner associations to work hand in hand, it does a lot more when you got more people doing this. Right now, I felt like the county, since I've been on, it's my 5th year, I feel like the county has been trying to fight this throughout the state by ourselves. And we gained ground, because we've went and spoken across the state on the issues like this. But sometimes things go away, sometimes other people get elected. So, but you gotta stay on top if you're gonna fix it. You know, look at the population, that's what's happening in the state. There's a reason people, you know, that had my way up, and this is gonna sound terrible, I put a toll booth over on Missouri coming in here, because everybody's should be paying for the right to use our streets and our highways, and they're taking their money and they're getting paid here and going across the thing. It's cheaper, folks. It's not hard to figure out.
So just out of curiosity, obviously House representatives, some were more vocal than others, right?
Yes.
Who was the most vocal in opposition against this?
The speaker.
Speaker, yeah.
Jeff, I'm gonna put you on the spot. Go ahead.
Speaker. Yeah. So I think he's somebody else we should invite to our study session as well.
Yeah.
Speaker of the House, come on down.
If you get him, let me know. We'll come back.
You betcha. We'll drag him in. Anyway.
That's interesting.
You need to find out his schedule first before you invite him.
Because this is just, I
Because
mean,
there's so many things that, I spoke to him on another matter about 3 or 4 weeks ago, and he is running a lot of places.
So that, Mr. Dove, that's a great point. So I would say, let's throw out an open invitation and figure out what works for his schedule.
Yeah.
And then,
Yeah.
I mean, at some point, more of these conversations have to happen. I know we're not going to solve the world's problems tonight, but we talked about this a little bit, Nancy and I, the past couple of years.
yeah.
Nobody ever listens, always dies, or just something happens.
Until
It's always
voting time
convenient
comes
to
up.
not,
Yeah.
yeah.
That's
So,
when you hear mostly about it. And you really gotta stay on him,
I believe it.
because he has other interests.
Who's running for insurance commission?
Also, I believe so, yes.
Right.
Thank you, thank you for that. I
Yeah,
figured there
so
was-
we'll.
That is the biggest thing for our citizens, though. I mean,
Property tax.
property tax
Absolutely.
is skyrocketing, so,
So,
anyway.
thank you. All right, next up, Mark.
Well, so Mayor, or Mark, if you want, I can
Yeah,
actually, I
you got
think.
this one? Okay.
My guess is that they want an update on, or asking for an update on where we stand on our solid waste services. Is that kind of what the guiding question was for that, or?
Sure, we did notice that there was, obviously the article in the Times, and we attend your meeting, one of our commissioners does, and so, just wanted to know where that was in the process, and if there was any questions we could ask about how our process works out at our current transfer station.
Well, I had gone out and visited, and I guess I felt like I was kind of, not necessarily, but sort of getting like this information over here and this information over here, and so I was just wondering if we could have, and this may already be, but I was wondering if you could do like a report to the county commission of like what your expenses are, transportation, staffing, everything that goes into gas and such that is related to your trash system, just because I just want to kind of dive into that a little bit and see if we can figure that out or not, but at least I'll be on the same page and make sure we're understanding the same numbers, because some of the staff are like, there's no way they're taking it to this other place cheaper, and I'm like, well, we can ask, and we can have, and then we can turn around, or I can turn around and provide that to the staff and be like, this is what their cost is, in full, what can we do or not, so that was kind of my reason for bringing it up.
Sure, yeah, absolutely. And we're actually in the process of compiling that information for our own city commission. We would be happy to provide that to you guys as well. And to make it clear, the commission has not made a decision on that, one way or the other. We are hoping to make a decision this year on where we move with that. We're really considering 3 options, or we're going to present 3 options to our city commissioners. One would be to outsource entirely, make it privatized. The other 2 are kind of both an internal service, but in 2 different directions. We would keep it internal and build our own transfer station, either across the street from your own, that property we own out there, or then that option kind of 2A or 2B, I would call it. There's a local private, company that is looking to kind of build their own transfer station, and we would work some kind of contract out with them. We don't have numbers from them yet, which is why we haven't presented anything to the commission, but we're waiting to put all that together.
Thank you so much.
But are you offering to maybe cut the price or
Lower your prices a little
or
bit?
help us pay the?
Roll that back in.
Well, when we get the report, let's talk after we get the report.
I think one thought was, maybe there's a way to combine more resources to make things more mutually beneficial for the county, or at least the neighboring cities, I don't know. But with what Scott laid out here, is there anything that you heard that raises any concern in your mind right now with what the three options he threw out there?
If I could, just because I think this comes up a lot, the transfer station, as we operate it, is a enterprise fund. So it funds itself. There are no property taxes that go towards funding it. It's not a profit center. None of the money that goes in there comes back out to the general fund. We're not funding general operations with it. We simply fund the transfer station. So the fees we charge are the fees we need to make it functional. Our biggest cost is obviously the hauling. So once we get it, because it's a transfer station, the trash goes there, we put it in a trailer, and then our hauler comes and picks it up and hauls it to their landfill. Currently, that's Hams. In the past, it was Def and Bob before Waste Management. Def and Bob, or Waste Management now, the last two times it bid, they were not successful in the bid. Actually, Hams was the lower provider. Any increases that we pass along are directly due to the increases we receive through our contract with Hams. So there's no opportunity for us to offer a lower rate. To do that would mean that the other haulers would have to subsidize the city of Leavenworth. When I first started, we actually levied a property tax towards the transfer station. And when the Board of County Commissioners at that time was very clear we wanted to do away with that. And when we did, we moved everybody to the same fees. And I think that's when the city decided they were going to start hauling directly to Waste Management. What they charge you to dump there is significantly cheaper than what we pay, because we pay somebody to come and pick it up and haul it out there to Hams. So that's probably the difference. But we actually had a private company look at taking over the transfer station, because again, it doesn't make money for us. They looked at it. One, the fee that they wanted to charge would have been more than what we were charging. And two, there are a couple of services that we provide. One of them is household hazardous waste, which is mandatory, that they were not interested because of the liability. So we still have it, and if there's any opportunity for the city to benefit from the transfer station, we would listen to it. If the city, and I'm not being flippant when I say this, if you think you can run it for more affordable because you are a trash service and we're not, we would certainly talk to you about that too.
Sell it for $1.
Perfect. Cool.
Number 3. Is that,
So, yeah, I think again, this is just, we'd like to, see if there's any conversation between the two commissions on ongoing economic development efforts. Is there any way we can coordinate those? Obviously, I'm sure that there's much mutual interest in the business and technology park, since there's investment for both organizations in it. But I think this is more of a commission-led conversation just on where you guys want to see economic development efforts.
Well, just to step in, I want to appreciate it. We decided a while back to bring on an economic director and part of another job, but after a while we realized that that has to happen. That's not a full-time position by itself. So the thought process was to work with the city of Leavenworth and to see if there's anything that we could do together and then report to the board, or however. This is just thinking out loud, folks. It would benefit both the city and the county, instead of each one of us having to pick up our own. That's what we decided to do. It didn't work for us, not the way I saw it, and I pushed it. I was one of the ones that said, LCDC, and we needed somebody to do commercial inside the city, and not just out in the county area. And so we tried to get it, we brought in a great talented person, Tom, he did a real good job, but it just wasn't the fit we needed, and basically, it just wasn't enough for him to do like that. And I thought if there was a chance of partnering, and this is just throwing it out there for y'all to think about, that we could at least have a conversation next time about it. 'Cause I don't know how y'all are doing. I know when past city managers, I know the last 5 out here, no more than Chile, the last 5 out here, that they had someone else doing it besides. When I was out in Lansing, I had someone else doing it besides, because it just wasn't enough for. But we're the largest 2 entities right here, and I think if we could pull something together to help both the city and the county, it might be worth at least having a conversation about.
Question, what do you mean it wasn't enough for him to do?
Well, out in the county, there's just not that much to bring in right now. You can go and do things, but you do also have the LCDC and Port Authority that's working. They're joined to help. There just wasn't enough to do it. But one thing we had the county person do is also meet with the cities and talk to them about what they could do, what we could do to help them too. But it just wasn't, maybe not, just wasn't enough, it's not the words. We needed something else. We were going to sign something else to do too, besides that. And that's why I know in the past city managers, y'all have spoken, Scott and the rest of them said there just wasn't enough. So they assigned it to the department head. That's what I used to do out there.
Commissioner Steve, we're bringing you into the meeting.
Oh, no. Oh, no. Where's that from?
Here, hello.
Appreciate it.
I know it's a sensitive subject, but have you guys decided with LCDC
Yes.
and Port Authority what you're gonna do? How you're gonna fund that? Because we're
Well, I
currently
think
looking
one
at
of
that
the-
ourselves.
Oh, yeah, we'll bring this up. Yep, you're right.
One of the things that's been presented, we've always, well, I'm speaking for myself, but the way the board's been going is they need a funding stream. And what they're looking at doing is doing maybe a vote, and they're probably going to be presenting to y'all. Mike, hush up before so we can get going here. He's used to doing that to me. I lost my train of thought about.
You're talking about LCDC funding.
Yeah, the funding, we're trying to say that they probably need another area to do it. So they've commissioned a group, it's going to be asked to come present to y'all about a tax, put another tax on to do just for economic development. The first survey they did was very clear for the people. People said, yeah, we want economic development. And they asked, you want to pay for it? They said, no, because property tax right now, when you think of any kind of tax, what do you think of?
Right.
You think of property tax. Until we fix that, we're going to have trouble selling anything else. So, I don't know where the county commission is going to go, but they need to find another source. And I'm on that committee. I'm trying to help, but I just don't know. And that's just me.
So, what was the answer to the question? So you are gonna fund LCDC or Port Authority, or you don't know yet?
I don't know what we're going to do. We're going to discuss it.
Okay,
We're gonna
don't know
discuss
yet.
it,
Okay,
but
that's
we're going
fair.
to discuss it at budget time.
Okay, got it.
But the funding has gone down over the years.
Okay, thank you.
When the Port Authority started, I remember,
Me too.
and LCDC, and
Lad.
it was called LAD, Leavenworth Area Development, and that was the thing, it was Leavenworth Area Development, and anytime any property obtained a developer to come in and build a factory or whatever, it brought up the level of the whole county. It's not just Leavenworth or Baser or Tonganoxie. And it's, or Easton, or, it's not, or Lansing. It is the whole county. And anytime you bring a big company in, it's going to affect the whole county. That's why I feel like that the county should be more supportive of LCDC and Leavenworth Area Development. I do. That's my opinion, personal opinion. It's not the opinion of the commission necessarily. But that's my opinion, because it does. Bringing a big company in.
I don't think I'm disagreeing with what you're saying. I'm saying that the funding, where they have to be other sources to bring in funding to do it. I mean, county only gets property tax, we don't get city tax.
I realize that.
To run that, and lately that's made it very difficult for us to do our do our job. Totally different from coming from mayor, coming out here and seeing what on the property tax. I totally believe in Mary and Lisa and all those folks out there. I'm just open for any ideas how to fund that.
So, you know, Holly knows I got a lot of comments and thoughts on this, and I don't want to get into the weeds too much, because I know last time we talked about it, 3 of us out of 5, I'd like us to be able to talk about it more. But I will tell you, we have funding for economic development here. We've just decided to fund LCDC for the last, 10 years. So, I think it's time, and Holly, you can correct me if I'm off on any of this, but personally, I think it's time for a refresh look at everything. Why are we doing what we're doing? Somebody from the Port Authority reached out and met with them the other day and absolutely sold me on the fact that, yes, the Port Authority has some relationships that are valuable there. I totally agree. I'm not sold on the fact that we need the Port Authority to have those relationships. We absolutely, one person can do a lot, and I'm just not sold on the fact that we need to keep spending money the same way we always have when there's a boatload we can do, and getting connected to the other cities and the county more. I think we have options potentially on the table to do things that can bring more results immediately to Leavenworth if we get more concentrated on that instead of maybe a little bit more diluted. I totally agree with Nancy. What can be good for the county can be good for us as well. But you guys aren't sold either on, I think, current, status quo, I would say. And as far as I'm concerned, all right, it's time to start putting money into it. Here, using funds we already have set aside, no new taxes for our residents. If anybody, being a resident, tried to sell me on why I need to pay more every year to kind of get, maybe to save some companies from leaving, that's a hard sell for me. We can do that anyway. I know, Scott and Penny, they're going to be focused on a lot of those things anyway when it comes to, making sure we save businesses here in Leavenworth. So, I don't know. I think we got a lot more to talk about on it with budget season coming up, but I'm ready for a change. And
that's what the conversation came from about the economic splitting. And I was trying just to look at a different, maybe profile or a different way of doing business. Again, I have to say that I've known the staff out there, great people.
Very nice people, yeah.
Everything, you got to sit back and represent the town.
Not just the staff, but the boards that they have, are outstanding.
I know, there's nothing to take away from that. But I think every time as you go along, you have to reevaluate. Could we do better? Maybe not. Maybe we need to stay. But we need to reevaluate what we're looking at. And I think that's what I'm looking at anyway.
Do you feel like they've done a good job for Leavenworth, though, since you work with Leavenworth's budget?
For Leavenworth, definitely, yeah.
What things would you cite?
With regard to, well, as far as, there's two different things we're talking about here. We're talking about commercial buildings, and LCDC and the Port Authority don't have anything to do with our local commercial buildings. We have to do something about that. We have to do something here to get those filled and have people quit buying up properties and just letting them sit.
You mean our downtown?
Our downtown, our whole city.
Yeah.
Our whole city, we got property all over the city we need to develop. But LCDC and the Port Authority are like, look what happened to DeSoto. Now they got Merck coming in there too. They already have 400 employees there and a huge growth in that area. But we need to, those are two totally different things. But I know that it takes a long time to develop those relationships to get a company in here, especially a big company like what we've had. We filled up Gary Carlson Park, but it took 10 years to start out. It took 10 years. Yeah.
We kept staying with them.
Yeah.
The thing that's interesting too is, a lot of the millions of dollars that go into these parks came from the county.
Right.
And, so we look at this, really, down south in Tanya, I don't know what the numbers are, 10 million or 8 million.
22, somewhere like that.
Something like that. There's a lot of millions of dollars the county supports this by getting that done. I'm not saying any of this.
But the money you get back in property taxes
Well,
when it's
then you have to
developed,
wait
though.
10 years after.
Well, you have
because
to.
If you abate everything, then you're not getting anything about it eventually. I think sometimes if you abate it for 5 years or for 50%, like I used to do with neighborhood revitalization, things like that, you see a return quicker. You will see a return, but when you don't have that much money to spend as it is, It's really hard to do. I'm not saying anything anybody said here is incorrect. What I'm saying is, I think we need to look at it and just, is there something we can do together? Or we go a different way, or we start funding. There just has to be a solution. LCDC cannot continue going the way it is, no matter what's decided.
I disagree with that. I'll disagree with that, definitely.
Commissioner Stevens.
Mr. Mayor?
Mike, go ahead.
Mrs. Mayor, are you running the meeting, or who's running the meeting?
That's Mike's statement.
He didn't know who to address.
Mike wants that.
Yes.
Oh,
you-
yeah, he wasn't here when we started.
Yeah, did you need to comment, Mike?
Yeah, I don't know, can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, we can hear you, Mike.
Okay, I'm sorry today that I got railroaded. I was really planning to be at this meeting, but I appreciate City of Leavenworth. I appreciate Mayor Pittman. Especially appreciate, I know that you talked about the property tax constitutional amendment. I missed that part of it, but I appreciate your husband's work on that and all the efforts, and Nancy and all the rest of you. Appreciate having this meeting. But on the LCDC issue, we did, and I don't know if Mike brought this up, but we had a meeting with the folks at LCDC and Port Authority when we were discussing, like Griff said, doing something different on economic development. And we kind of identified the fact that the Port Authority and LCDC and the county can kind of identify different portions of economic development that we can focus on. For example, LCDC is more the marketing arm. The Port Authority has certain economic abilities to own land and to have certain financing that they can work on. And then the county, from our perspective, be like the funder of some of these things and focus on funding rather than the day-to-day operation of the Economic Development Corporation. And that's kind of what we discussed, and Harlan wrote a great, I would call it a preliminary draft, and that would be something that I think we can all look at to kind of see how we can all work together on making economic development, making all the pieces fit together.
Who wrote it?
Harlan Russell.
I think they haven't
He's
worked
on the
together.
court.
Yeah.
No, I agree. I don't think we have worked together enough. Hey, I'm open, if you guys have maybe outlined something that we could discuss more, I'd love to see
Yeah.
it.
Right.
I'd like to see what Harlan's coming up with, too.
And, that brings us to part of economic development is RHID, which I know is a hot topic too. We're just learning about that here, and we're doing a housing study, and hopefully we're doing our own. But we'd really like to, I guess I should speak for myself, use it to build up for our downtown, our second stories, which is a totally different situation that's going on in Lansing. But I know what worked for one city might not work for another city. And so, as you guys have to sign off on that, school board has to sign off on that, but definitely want to keep that in the economic development toolkit too, because we're looking at potentially doing that here as well.
Yeah, I knew, or I had heard, I don't know, but that maybe some of the reasons the downtown buildings sit vacant is because of the roadblocks to bring them up to code with sprinkler systems and extra
Yeah,
expenses.
well, that's probably true.
And so I wasn't sure, that's what I was talking with Manager Peterson the other day on whether RHID would help facilitate some of that revitalization that a small business owner can't come in and afford out the gate.
And the answer was?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay. But another answer to that is, and Penny would kill me if I didn't say this, we already have a tool like that in place as well, and that's the Neighborhood Revitalization Act.
Absolutely.
We haven't seen a lot of buy-in on that program, and I think we're still, the jury's out on why that is, on whether that's.
Yeah, let me ask you, why is that? When we put the fifth lane in Lansing, we brought this business in, we just started neighborhood revitalization, there's certain side, we have buy-in on everybody. And the way you do it is the time frame and the amount of money you put in is how much you return it. The county administers, they get 5%, but then after 10 years, it starts bringing it down, not 20 years, but 25 years. When we start bringing it down, that money goes back to the city and brings the developer in there. Everybody jumped all over that, and I don't know if they're using that, but RHID has changed a little bit, because we honestly didn't used to be able to do that, the size of they say like that, but there is a definitely need to be able to court these businesses and do something with them, and y'all will have to decide on what's the best. Is it 80%, is it 90%, is it 100%? But that's what we're gonna bring them in. They're gonna fix that, and they're gonna go somewhere else, that's just bottom line.
Right.
If there was one thing we could all agree on here tonight, would we all agree that we think it's time to look at things differently from an economic development standpoint?
Yes.
Always, yeah, always.
Is that, you guys can nod louder, is that a yes? I mean, yeah?
I'm doing about, having this meeting together,
Yeah.
be a unified speaker with one voice and try to move in the right direction together, so.
Well, and we.
And I think a big piece of that is enhancing our communication with one another.
I agree.
And the city has a economic development roundtable monthly. Maybe perhaps we invite the county partners to sit at that too. Currently, we have LCDC, Main Street, our own CVB, city staff, and then perhaps we appoint someone from the county to come in. And we're all together. We're all on the same page with economic development. We all have that same elevator pitch about Leavenworth County.
Absolutely.
Okay. Can we somehow
Absolutely,
add
yeah,
that
happy
in?
to,
Okay.
I'll just let Mark tell me who he wants to, or whoever wants to represent.
Whoever wants to come.
I grew up here, and,
I do have a question for someone from the city there. Are you folks developing an RHID policy? The county adopted a policy where we're gonna kind of, when these developers come in now, we can kind of follow our step-by-step that's in our policy. Are you folks developing that as well?
We're not that far yet.
We will.
You will.
The answer is we will, we have not yet.
We're still doing the housing study, Mike. We haven't gotten that back yet.
We have no choice but to wait.
Okay.
Okay. So the downtown area, when I grew up here, was, to me, a lot livelier. There was clothing businesses, household stores, there was upper end, what I would consider upper end men's clothing stores, and large, pet stores and candy stores, and it was just a lot different than it is now, including the restaurant scene. So I've heard one of the reasons is because, our downtown is so long, instead of being like a town square. And I've heard people say that we don't really have control over that, but that doesn't really make sense to me if we need to rein it in some to have something. People rave about Weston and Parkville. If you think about their downtown is much smaller area than ours, so I don't know if you guys have any input on that, but that's kind of an interesting topic for me. So.
Well, it's really run by their local associations. Weston, I know, has it is a small downtown, but they as you move into downtown, there are certain requirements you have. You have to be open a certain number of hours a day, and on the weekends and various things. You have to have codes that you follow and all of that. So that's really run by the Downtown Association, and they make those rules, so.
Would that be similar to our Main Street or different?
Yeah, similar to that, yeah. Yes, actually. Mhm.
We don't require that.
We don't require that.
No.
No, we don't require
Not, the city doesn't, and I don't think the city of Weston, I mean, other than the codes, that's it,
Well, I think the reason Weston's found success down there is because the days they close and the hours they've got, they're opening in the evening.
Yeah, evening weekends.
Sundays.
Yes, exactly, so I think that makes it, and I know there was discussion before over all the years and winter that some of the businesses have tried to do that and it just didn't work for some reason, but it seems like Weston, I think 7 o'clock right or something, I'm not sure which, but I know it makes a big difference to them out there. But again, like, as I said, that's not your call or our call, this thing.
No, that's up to them.
I guess just last comment on economic development, when I met with somebody from the Port Authority, a comment was made that, sounds like, well, we just maybe need to put more money into it, and I'm just absolutely not convinced that's the way. Well, if it's not working as much as you want, just spend more, and then, oh yeah, it's gonna work then, trust us, I just have such a hard time with that, so.
Well, I think there was a project that they maybe feel like they lost, or maybe more than one, because they didn't have enough upfront, incentive, I guess you would say, available. Something maybe similar along those lines, and I think
That was with the state though, wasn't it?
you know, like if you're looking at different sites to go to and they seem to have a better package, you know, over here.
Yeah.
And then you're in competition between, you know, a site selector. And so what makes, in this case, Leavenworth or Leavenworth County the best site?
But we don't know really what it was, right?
And so that's the thing, right?
That's the problem.
Because
Yes, we ought to
we're-
know so we never have a miss like that again.
And
Seriously.
LCDC is like, well, you have to trust us, and so that's that piece you were
Well,
talking
we
about, like,
can't.
do we trust them
I
enough to give
promise,
them more
it's gonna be
money?
better next time. I mean, I'm serious, like, this is, yeah, sorry guys, I'll get off my high horse.
Are we ready to move on
Yeah,
to?
let's move on to
Yeah, what was that?
transportation.
So I'll start this, Penny, please feel free to fill in my gaps of information here, you know more about this than I do. But we just thought we'd bring it to your all attention, Ride LV particularly, but any kind of, you know, joint transportation, this discussion is, but we've seen some success with Ride LV. I think Lansing is considering, as far as I know, adding on a bus to them. I think the whole, what we would like to see is just see if there's any kind of a regional partnership, joint partnership of, and obviously, you know, this is a long-term discussion, not a today discussion, but of expanding that program, seeing if there's any, if you guys have any interest in that, if you've heard interest from county residents about it, and just kind of what, you know, what the appetite is for what the future of that program might look like.
You guys did a good job, we set that up, that was something I know Nancy and a few people were involved in, that was needed for a long time. I don't know, I just don't know enough to say about it in the county, because it's a different animal for us, but I know Lansing was looking at it one time, even when I was out there, so, but y'all be proud of that, that's a good one.
I'm Nancy.
Thank you.
I think before you started Ride LV, we had that committee and we all met.
Yes.
We actually met over, I think, at the Guidance Center. They had brought in KDOT and everybody else, and the county had that discussion. And I know the commission at the time, the discussion was, you know, this is a city function because most of the transportation's in the city.
Yeah.
And the transportation outside the city would be so sporadic that, you know, we can't provide bus route to serve people in the county. And that's why I think at that point, the city said, yeah, you know what, we're going to get it started. And and it sounds like it's
Yeah,
successful.
and some of the other cities like Lansing, so we're just
Yeah.
gonna wait and see.
Yeah.
Wait and see, and so we're in the third year of our pilot program, so.
And at that time, we discussed the fact that the county actually does have transportation through the Council on Aging. And I brought a couple of the numbers. I think last year, the budget for transportation through the Council on Aging was about $900,000. And they provided about, looks like 18,000 trips within the county, and some of those go outside the county for medical reasons. And about 13,600 of those are in the city of Leavenworth, actually. So
Right.
So
we
you
have
save
a,
some of our burden.
yeah, we have a pretty robust transportation already.
But do we,
And I
do
think
we
what
need two? I think what we're thinking about, do we need two?
Right, yeah, and I think that's what we discussed back then was,
right.
and then I think the Guidance Center provides some of that.
They
kind of
provided
stuff, right?
transportation
Yeah.
and they
So-
run our service
Yeah,
for us.
so
And they're
I know that's.
countywide, so,
Yeah,
Yeah.
I think that was the
They're
question
countywide.
is there going to be one transportation organization and who's going to lead that and how's it going to get funded? But
Well,
that's where
that's-
we're at with transportation, is Council on Aging provides transportation for, you know, obviously it's a targeted group of people.
well, it would be easy enough for us to go with Lansing as well, because it is the guidance center, because they are countywide. So any other town that wanted to opt in, and, you know, you could look at that,
Just a
so.
matter of time.
I know.
But we still don't have weekends or.
Yeah, we still don't.
Mr. Chairman, or Mrs.
You
Mayor?
go ahead, Mike.
Yes, go ahead, Mike Mayor.
Go ahead, Commissioner.
I'm on the KCACA board, and I know, Nancy, you were
Yeah.
on that board, and they are seriously looking to regionalize that organization, and I think, like Chris said, looking at things in a new way, kind of evaluating things in a different way, I think that's kind of what we need to do with transportation, because with the DeSoto battery plant coming in, we may have out in the rural parts of the county and the need for connections into Leavenworth and into KCK out by the Legends, where to get a workforce over to that area, and
Good
I
point.
think it is important to kind of be looking at what the future is for transportation, and I think there are going to need to be changes.
Thank you for that. Something to look at.
All right, anything else on transportation? All right, let's
Do
move
we
on.
know if Lansing, I mean, recently Lansing expressed interest?
Yes.
Do we know if they still have that same interest?
I don't know if they put in applications as far as
They did, or you don't know
yeah,
if they?
as far as I know, yes. But I don't know.
I'm interested there, we've had meetings with them.
Yes.
We're questioning the level of funding that will be required for their participation. So that's the status that I have.
Yeah, they were looking at what it was gonna cost, you know, how much, I mean, we pay like 10%. And everybody else pays the 90%. We're only paying 10% on this transportation program, so. Might be able to save some money for the county too.
Well, let's move along to proposed sales tax for a countywide radio system.
I think the idea here was we had some questions about what that might entail. We thought maybe it'd give you guys an opportunity to brief, or somebody an opportunity to brief City Commission on what that proposal looks like, how it impacts the city of Leavenworth, and any questions you guys may have about it.
Sure. That's probably me, huh? Okay.
You're the numbers guy, you're the numbers guy. Go ahead.
So actually, probably 2 years ago, our 911, and I'm sure you guys are seeing it too, that the revenue has been just going down over the last 10 years. The money coming in through 911 fees has just continually gone down. And they've changed the way those fees are charged, so it's actually ramping up. The decrease is getting faster. So it cannot fund the needed infrastructure to keep the system running. So the sheriff and I were talking about this. We started this conversation really last year when the county started having to put general fund revenue into the 911 to keep the system going. And it's probably going to get worse before it gets better. So we talked about what are some funding opportunities. And I know a tax is a tax, sales tax is a tax, just like property tax. But sales tax gives us the opportunity to maybe collect from people who don't currently participate in property tax via they either work here and live out of town or whatever. Also then the sheriff, and if you've watched our meeting, laid out that the current infrastructure is going obsolete and that they will have to replace it and upgrade it. And it's millions of dollars, not hundreds of thousands, but millions of dollars that we currently don't have in our budget. So we're looking at opportunities to fund that. And either it's going to take probably a 2 to 3 mil levy increase or a potential maybe a sales tax, something between a quarter or an 8-cent sales tax, depending on how we roll it out and how quickly we have to ramp up to get that. But the way sales tax works in Kansas with the county, if we do a countywide levy, it's shared with all the cities. So we only keep about 44% of the countywide sales tax that we currently have that goes towards roads. The rest of it's distributed out to the cities based upon population and valuation. So Leavenworth gets a big chunk of it. The only way that a sales tax would work is if the cities agreed to participate and allow the county to retain their portion of that specific sales tax for this project. If they do that, it allows the sales tax to be much smaller than it would be if it was just our portion. Obviously, it's half. So that's what we're talking about. The commission hasn't even had a chance to weigh in on whether they support that or not. It was just the discussion that came up when the sheriff was in presenting his challenge about the Motorola upgrade that's coming. So the other option that was out there that's, is basically a charge per use. So all the fire departments, all the rural fire departments, all the police departments, everybody uses this infrastructure. This is not just the radios. This is the towers. This is the tower system and the console. That's the 911 console. So everybody who uses the system uses that. So that was the other option that was kind of floated out there as a push. Every time you push the button, it's going to cost. Every entity that I'm aware of was also heavily reliant upon property tax, so that just goes back to spreading the property tax out to the individual communities. So those are the things that we're discussing.
Mark, do you mind sharing a little bit again? You said the fees are going down, but what's that specifically related to?
So it used to be every line, every phone line, every number had to pay a 911 fee. And if you were like the city, let's say, and you have 200 phones, you paid 200 fees. Well, one of the things that they changed is it's per account. So like if you have 5 cell phones on an account, you pay 1 fee, not 5 fees. And it used to be 5 because it was every phone had that. In the city, you have trunk lines. So I think with the city and the county and any of the big companies that have all these phone lines, it went from paying hundreds of fees down to like 2 or 3 fees. And that's statewide. That's not just here. That's just statewide. So they changed it. So that revenue has went way down. And then you have like you guys, I know you use the voice over IP system. That degrades it even more. I mean, just the fees they used to charge, they no longer charge. They've just given, at the state level, they've just eroded away how you can collect those fees. And so that's what we get.
So, I mean, so like you said, everybody's gonna have the same problem. Let's just say the state of Kansas right now,
Yep.
right?
Yep.
So, and the state caused the problem, is what I heard.
Not all of it. I mean, not all of it, because it's the nature of the way the phone systems work now is different too. So it's not all on them, but yes, they've allowed some of this to happen.
I second that.
So wait, did they
It's a statewide
vote?
problem, it sounds like.
Did they vote to get rid of these fees? Is that-
Yeah, some of them, yes.
That's the thing, it's like.
And a lot of folks
State
don't
should be
have phone
supporting
lines
us.
anymore.
And that's the other thing, you know, people, you had home phones and cell phones, now you only have a cell phone. So just the number of lines just also went down. So it's not just them that's created the problem, it's the usage of phones that's created it.
Are there
But they
any
didn't help.
counties in the state of Kansas that are actively having this conversation right now that we know of?
Well, and one thing the state never does is take into account any of their actions, how it will affect property tax. And
How it
that's
affects
another
the
one.
local.
And that's another good one right there. So if you had a family plan with 5 phones, you're paying 5 times the fee. The phone company said, hey, let's make it easier on the customer, so the state passes law saying, yeah, you can just charge 1 now. They didn't ask the counties or the cities, how's that gonna affect your property tax?
Now we got 2 reasons to bring the speaker in, right?
Yeah, right.
I mean, it's just interesting, and I was not aware, you know, of this until you guys kind of shed some light on it, but we're all gonna be faced with this, every county
Yeah.
is.
Yeah,
So,
every county, every city, yeah.
It's not just Kansas.
Yeah,
Where I came
well,
from in Missouri,
100%.
they were doing this
Yeah, that's a good
exact
point,
same
Scott.
conversation.
yeah,
so.
yeah.
And, you know, we talked a lot about unfunded mandates, and really, when you take away revenue, that's also a form of an unfunded mandate. So
Yeah.
Scott and I can both talk about unfunded mandates, because in Missouri, they have a constitutional amendment that doesn't allow for unfunded mandates. If the state passes a law, they have to provide funding for it too. It doesn't always work out in your favor, but at least it makes them think about it before they make decisions.
That's good.
They actually have to get feedback from the cities and the counties on what we think that impact might be. You know, I don't give Missouri credit for a lot, but that is something that is hugely beneficial to the local taxing entities, is that they cannot pass unfunded mandates.
Hey, if you get the speaker, maybe you can get Elon too, so we can talk about Starlink and the
Yeah.
satellite.
Oh, man, that's an interesting idea too. I'll write that down.
Well said.
I appreciate y'all sharing, no, it's.
Well, we certainly, I think we're wrapping up here. We certainly appreciate all of you guys' time, and I appreciate the idea. We don't want to keep you all here all night, so.
I appreciate it too.
Thank you. Yeah,
I
for coming in.
did, when I became chair my first year, one of the first things I wanted to do was this. And so we met before, a few years ago, and I think it's just something we should be doing every year.
Yeah.
We're meeting with the other cities.
Well, maybe even twice a year, like
Oh,
you come here
yeah.
once and we go to you.
Yeah, that'd be
Next
awesome.
time.
Just a face-to-face interaction, just.
I support that,
So much good, it really does. I can see Ed every weekend.
Well, and I think we've
Yeah, well,
gotten,
that's true.
It's harder for
I
us.
think we've gotten a few action items out of it. The good came, so definitely economic development. Hopefully we can get you guys on board with us. Maybe re-looking at transportation, that committee.
And the transfer solid
Yeah.
waste service.
Hopefully we can get the speaker of the house.
Well, all right, that's a second, right?
Yeah.
Let's
So,
like,
right, so some really good action items that I think that are gonna move the city and the county forward. So I appreciate you guys coming here today.
Thank you guys so
Really,
much.
thank you.
Thank you. And just real quick, this is an official invitation for the Speaker of the House of Kansas to please come to the city of Leavenworth.
Well, we could also do
Could I make a
the,
suggestion before we break up? It would really help if we would get the state representatives and senators in a room and ask these very same questions.
We used to do that every year.
We are coming up.
The last
to
few times they haven't come.
Exactly. And so that's why I think that it should be pointed out
Right.
that this is what we're asking for, and the people are asking for it. And if you're not going to comply, then maybe we should find somebody else.
Well, I think that when you guys did that last time, only one showed up, and I know him, so.
Exactly.
That's right.
I know him too. One that showed up. And an individual have actually said it was a to beat me up party.
Yeah.
That's the reason that.
They didn't come.
That's the reason.
I think
too
all
bad.
of those did support the 3% cap like we were talking about.
Yeah,
So all the
yeah,
local
as well
guys.
as you support the LVATR, but I know that, rest in peace.
Yeah.
I don't think it's so much,
That's it.
Willie, I understand what you're saying, one last thing, to beat me up. We've asked state people to come in, especially one or two in our area, to come compare, they fill these numbers out, they come compare them and sit down with Mark, and they've never taken us up on it. How are you gonna resolve these issues if you're not willing to go eyeball to eyeball with somebody? Say, okay, we're not looking for a fight, we're just saying, where'd you get your numbers, let's show you where our guide are, and let's work this out. You don't show up, we can't resolve this. Off the soapbox.
Right, for sure.
Thank you guys again.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Commissioner Stephen, I'm gonna hang up on you.
Thanks, Mike.
All right.
See you, Mike.
Bye.
Bye, Mike.
See you guys tomorrow.
Do you have my,
Thank you, Mark. That's some nice stuff. All right.
oh, here it is, okay. Can I just call executive session right here?
Well, we have to do the consent agenda, but
Oh, that's
I don't think it
right.
matters what he said.
Yeah, you guys could just stay, probably easier to stay here and I'll move your chairs when you're in executive session.
Okay, let's just stay here. We have consent.
Now you don't have to do the heavy lifting. I'll do
Okay,
that.
Griff, so that's on you, that is, you, if you would like to, read the consent agenda?
Oh, yes. Sorry.
You don't have your gavel, that's all right, we'll get that later.
All right. Madam Mayor, I move to approve the claims for April 18th, 2025 through May 8th, 2025 in the amount of $2,816,927.11. Net amount for payroll number 8 effective April 18th, 2025 in the amount of $418,363.11. Includes police and fire pension in the amount of $7,753.58. And net amount for payroll number 9 effective May 2nd, 2025 in the amount of $406,474.31. No police and fire pension.
Second. Second, all right, we'll begin voting with Commissioner Hengla.
Aye.
Oh, okay. Doors open on your van, but you're in the middle. Aye.
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 All right, let's get to, we'll go ahead and go into executive session. I'll read this off and you can go out. How many
Do you want to go
minutes?
around the table first? Because we won't have any more
Oh,
business
before we get
afterwards.
back, you want to do that?
The only thing I have, unless you have questions, is I sent out the finalized budget agenda, budget schedule for you all. I think a couple of you have seen it, but just, note some of those dates, and that should be the final numbers or dates. So,
Dates, okay.
that's all I have.
Okay.
No, just wish everybody a good week. I appreciate the county coming out to listen tonight, and that's all I got.
Don't have anything to add to that. Have a good week.
All right. Ed, do you have anything to add?
Yeah, just listening to the proclamations this evening, there's a lot of stuff going on. Public Works Week, Police Week, Economic Development Week, Historic Preservation Week. Get out there and get involved. I'd invite everybody to get out there and get involved, and come on over here on Tuesday evenings and get involved.
Right.
Thank you. God bless.
I echo Commissioner Martin's that it was great to have the county here. I wasn't sure how it was going to go, but it was awesome. He's going to, his van door is open.
We need to vote for the executive session.
Oh, we can't go 4-0.
If you do, okay. All right.
Okay, boy. Is that okay?
I just probably need to note that he wasn't in the room for the vote. So.
Yeah.
Okay. All right, well, I'll go ahead and read the motion. How many minutes before do we need to be?
30.
30 minutes, okay. I'll make a motion to move that the city commission recess into executive session for 30 minutes for the purpose of discussing a development matter in consultation with attorney, which would be deemed privileged in the attorney-client relationship pursuant KSA 75-4319B2. The city commission, the city manager, the assistant city manager, and the attorney will all be present. The open meeting will resume the city commissioner chambers at 8:05. No, 8 o'clock?
8:04.
8:04. 8:04 PM. Oh, he's back. There's a second. We need you to vote for executive session. We need. We'll go ahead and start.
Aye.
Aye. You want to vote again on? So that CVC to the world? Aye. Aye.
Aye.
All right.
in that room.
Oh, I was perfect, well, I was perfect. Okay, I don't think we need, do we need everybody to gavel out?
We need to wait till 8:04. As long, yeah, if you wait till
It's
8:04, and you can do it with 3 people.
Yeah, we can go with 3.
Yep.
Okay, what do I say when I come back in? Just the gavel back in, right?
Yep,
Yep.
we're back in open session.
All right, we are back in open session. At this time, I just need a motion to go ahead and adjourn the meeting.
So moved.
Second.
Second?
Aye.
All right. Aye. Aye.
Aye.
Aye.
Aye.
All right, have a great week.